After I paid for everything, the wedding, the house, even his visa, my husband looked me dead in the eyes and said, "Now that I'm a citizen, I don't need you." Then he handed me divorce papers like I meant nothing. But he had no idea I had been 2 steps ahead all along. I smiled, handed him the prenup, and watched him walk away with 2 suitcases and $16. Exactly what he was worth. Subscribe now for more powerful stories where betrayal meets revenge, and justice always wins. My name is Melissa Hartman. I am 34 years old, a senior marketing strategist based in San Diego, and until recently, I thought I had found the kind of love people write movies about. I built a life from scratch after my parents passed away when I was 21. No trust fund, no secret inheritance, just relentless work, a vision board above my desk, and enough coffee to fuel a small army. I was never the girl who chased after fairy tale romance. I focused on building my career, climbing ladders, earning promotions, and checking off the kind of boxes that make your LinkedIn profile look like a dream. Love to me was something for later. Then I met Raphael. He was charming in a way I was not used to. A 28-year-old software engineer from Brazil who spoke with a warm accent, carried himself like he had nothing to prove, and somehow made the word Melissa sound like music. We met at a tech conference in San Francisco. He was there as a guest speaker for a startup panel. I was just attending to keep up with trends for a client project. He made me laugh within 5 minutes. By the second day, we were sitting at a rooftop bar talking about our childhoods and what scared us most in life. He told me his visa was expiring soon, and he had no idea if he would be able to stay in the US. His words carried weight, but his smile never wavered. I found that mix of vulnerability and optimism so rare, and I wanted to protect it. We started dating. Within 6 months, he had moved in. I owned my home, a cozy 3-bedroom house in Chula Vista with a lemon tree in the backyard and ocean views if you tilted your head at just the right angle from the guest room. Raphael loved it. He said it felt like a dream. I paid for everything. It started small, groceries, gas. Then it was rent, then it was his gym membership, then his phone. He said he was still figuring things out with work, that the visa process was draining, that it was only temporary. I believed him. After all, what was mine was his, right? That is what marriage is about. Yes, we got married. 13 months into the relationship, he proposed, not with a diamond, but with a handwritten letter and a picnic on the beach. It felt different. It felt honest. He told me he wanted to build a life with me, not just take from me. He said he had no money for a ring yet, but he would give me loyalty, partnership, and love. I said yes. I paid for the wedding. It was a modest but beautiful ceremony in Balboa Park. My side of the family was small. His side joined via video call. He cried during his vows. And I thought I was marrying the love of my life. The immigration process was long and expensive. I handled most of the paperwork, all the fees, and even flew with him to a legal appointment in Houston. I did everything. When we finally received the confirmation that Raphael had become a permanent resident, and shortly after a US citizen, we celebrated with champagne in the backyard. He said it was the happiest day of his life. He said I had made his dreams come true. 2 weeks later, he handed me divorce papers. I will never forget the way he said it. Cold, straight-faced, no tremor in his voice. Now that I am a citizen, I do not need you. I blinked. The air felt heavier. My stomach dropped, but my face remained still. He clearly expected me to fall apart, to beg, to scream, maybe. But I did none of that. I reached into the drawer beside the kitchen island and handed him a copy of the prenup. I had insisted on it quietly before we got married, not because I expected this, but because I had worked too hard for what I owned. He said he did not mind. He loved me, not my money. So he signed it. He took 2 suitcases and exactly $16. The bank accounts were mine. The house was mine. Even the car was under my name. But what Raphael had no idea about, and what I was about to reveal, was just the beginning of the real story. Because Raphael had not only underestimated me, he had left behind something far more valuable than money, and I was about to use it to make him regret ever thinking I was disposable. The morning after Raphael left, I woke up to an eerie kind of silence. Not sadness, just silence. There were no text messages, no missed calls from him. I walked through my house barefoot, remembering how just a week ago he had joked about painting the guest room sky blue. He never lifted a brush, never planned to. I stood in the kitchen with my coffee, watching a single sticky note he had left on the fridge. It said, "Sorry, but this is what I need." That was it. No guilt, no apology for using me. Just a vague justification that said everything and nothing at all. But what Raphael did not know was that I had been watching, not obsessively, but enough. Enough to start noticing inconsistencies in his stories, like when he said he was going to a coding boot camp in LA, but the Lyft receipts showed drop-offs at an apartment in Mission Valley. Or when he claimed to be stressed from job hunting, yet I found receipts for expensive dinners, none of which I attended. I never confronted him. I played the long game. While I paid for everything, I quietly opened a second savings account and started transferring small amounts each month from my primary account. It was not just financial protection. It was intuition. Something in my gut always told me Raphael was too smooth to be real. What pushed me to my breaking point was the day I opened my iPad and found a folder he forgot to delete. Inside were selfies. Dozens. With another woman. She was younger, blonder, flashier. They had captions in Portuguese. I used Google Translate. The translation said things like "counting down the days" and "soon we will be free." One photo was taken in front of a jewelry store. He had taken her ring shopping. While I was preparing documents to help him stay in the country, he was planning a life with someone else. I felt disgusted, but I never let him see it. I waited, because what Raphael also did not know was that I had hired a private investigator. Just 2 weeks before he became a citizen, I had enough. His lies were too tangled, too rehearsed. I wanted the truth, and I got it. The investigator uncovered everything. The woman's name was Brooke. She lived in Santa Monica. She had no idea Raphael was married. She thought he was single, temporarily staying with a friend until he could relocate to LA, permanently. He was playing both of us. But here is the thing about betrayal. It can break you, or it can shape you into something sharper. I chose the latter. After Raphael left, I called Brooke. I told her everything. At first, she denied it. She cursed me out, said I was just a bitter ex, but then I emailed her the photos. I even forwarded some of Raphael's messages to me during the same week he was with her. Her silence on the phone said everything. 2 hours later, she texted me, "He is a monster. I am done." But I was not done. Not yet. I remembered that Raphael had a pending job offer from a tech company in San Jose, one he had been gloating about for weeks. He said it would change everything, that he would finally be on his feet. The recruiter, I recalled, had emailed him a document that accidentally got forwarded to my email too. And I still had it. It included not only his employment package, but references. References he had faked. He had used fake email addresses and filled out fake recommendation forms to appear more qualified. I forwarded the entire chain, along with screenshots of his fake LinkedIn endorsements, to the company's HR department. 2 days later, I got the confirmation. Raphael's offer had been rescinded. I had not even broken a sweat. But the final blow was yet to come. Because a week after he walked out, I received a letter from immigration, a routine follow-up audit. They wanted to verify the legitimacy of Raphael's path to citizenship. Standard procedure in some cases. I was under no obligation to protect him, so I told the truth. All of it. The suspicious timeline, the sudden divorce, the emotional manipulation, the fake employment. I submitted photos, copies of receipts, the PI report. I never lied. I never fabricated. I simply shared what really happened. And 3 weeks later, Raphael received a letter of his own. The government had opened an investigation into possible immigration fraud. I did not hear from him for a long time after that. Until one evening, just as the sun was setting, I heard a knock on my front door. And when I opened it, he was standing there, unshaven, sweaty, his suitcase dragging behind him like a dog with a tail between its legs. He looked me in the eyes and said 5 words I never thought I would hear. "Melissa, can I come back?" I did not answer right away. I just looked at him. Raphael stood there in a wrinkled shirt, sweat lining his forehead, his once confident posture now reduced to a slouch of defeat. He looked like a man who had not slept in days. He repeated himself. "Melissa, can I come back?" I took a slow breath and leaned against the doorframe. "Why?" I asked. He swallowed. He did not expect the question. "Because I messed up," he finally said. "Everything fell apart. Brooke blocked me. I lost the job. And I think someone reported me. They're asking for more documents now, and..." I raised my hand to stop him. I already knew everything. I had received a call from Brooke days earlier. She told me how he had shown up at her apartment begging for a place to stay. She told him she had cancer just to scare him away. That was the level of disgust she felt. I looked Raphael in the eye and said, "You did not mess up. You got caught." His face went pale. Still, I stepped aside. I let him in. He walked through the door cautiously, as if unsure of his place now. I offered him water. He sat at the kitchen table, where we used to plan our future, only now that table felt like a courtroom, and I was not the woman he remembered. I asked him how much money he had left. He looked down and mumbled, $12. I almost laughed. He had taken 16 when he left. $4 vanished, probably on vending machines or train rides or fast food. It was poetic in a way. And then he looked up and asked, "Are you going to help me?" There it was again, the assumption that I was soft, that I still loved him, that I was the same Melissa who once filled out visa paperwork at midnight while he slept beside me. I stared at him, then said, "You are going to help me." He blinked. "What?" I smiled. "Since you have nowhere to go and you have no job and you want to stay in this country so badly, you are going to clean the house, mow the lawn, wash the dishes, cook, do laundry, be useful." He looked stunned. "Are you serious?" he said. "I am completely serious," I replied. "Think of it as community service." Raphael had no options, so he agreed. And for the next 10 days, my ex-husband scrubbed my floors, took out the trash, and made me breakfast every morning. I timed it. I critiqued his work. I left post-it notes with instructions like he used to do with passive-aggressive comments on my cooking. But I was not being cruel, I was being just. Because on the 11th day, when he thought maybe, just maybe, he had earned a spot back in my life, I handed him an envelope. Inside was a plane ticket back to Sao Paulo. One way. He stared at it in disbelief. "You cannot be serious," he said again. I nodded. "I called immigration myself," I said. "Told them I had offered you shelter for 10 days. They thanked me. Told me the investigation is ongoing. You are not in jail yet, but soon you will be." He stood, knocked over the chair, rage flashing in his eyes. "You used me." I walked around the counter and leaned in close. "No," I said. "You used me. I just returned the favor. Legally, efficiently, and with far more dignity than you ever deserved." He left without saying another word. That night, I changed the locks. But the story was far from over, because a week later, my phone rang, a number I did not recognize. I answered, and on the other end was a woman crying so hard I could barely make out her words, until she said something that froze my spine. "You do not know me, but I think I am pregnant with Raphael's baby, and I need your help." I stood frozen in my living room, holding the phone like it was suddenly made of stone. Her voice trembled through the speaker. She kept apologizing, kept saying she did not know who else to call. She had searched Raphael's name online, trying to track him down, and somehow my LinkedIn profile popped up. My job, my city, even the wedding photos that were still tagged on some random Pinterest board. She said her name was Liana. She was 26, worked as a paralegal in downtown LA, and met Raphael 8 months ago at a friend's birthday dinner. He told her he was single, recently moved to California for a fresh start. Said he was still recovering from a toxic relationship with an older woman who used him for immigration paperwork. My mouth went dry. He had flipped the story, made me the villain. Liana told me she believed him. She had no reason not to. He was charming, attentive, and every bit the broken hero women are taught to rescue. She said things between them escalated fast. They started seeing each other regularly, and before long she stopped asking questions. Then last month he vanished. No calls, no texts, no explanation. And now she was pregnant. I sat down on my couch completely silent. Liana was still crying on the other end, but I barely heard her anymore. My thoughts were racing, memories replaying in reverse. His disappearances, the excuses, the nights he claimed he was with friends, all the gaps in the puzzle that never quite fit. Liana asked me if I knew how to reach him. I did not answer that. Instead, I asked her one question. Do you want to keep the baby? She hesitated. I do not know. I do not want to do this alone. Something in her voice hit me, not because I felt sorry for her, but because I remembered being her. Not pregnant, but confused, blindsided, abandoned, believing in someone who wore charm like a mask and used it like a weapon. I told her the truth. I told her everything. The visa, the manipulation, the betrayal, the fake job offers, the lies. She went quiet. Then she said, I think he stole money from me. I froze. Liana said she noticed $1,800 missing from her savings account. She thought maybe she had spent more than she remembered. But now, after hearing my story, she checked her bank app and saw 2 wire transfers she did not authorize. One of them went to an online brokerage account under Raphael's full name. He had used her too, and not just emotionally. This was now a criminal situation. I told Liana to file a police report and offered her the contact information of the private investigator I had worked with. I told her to stay in touch. That night, I dug out my old laptop and opened a folder I had not touched in months. Inside were backup files from Raphael's time, living with me, emails, passwords he left auto-saved, copies of his resume, even screenshots of the immigration forms I had filled out for him. And something new caught my attention. A PDF labeled Exit Plan. I clicked on it. It was a list. Every woman he had dated in the last 3 years. Names, locations, short notes beside each one. Some said too clingy. Others said good with money or no assets. Mine said stable income, owns house, no siblings. I felt sick. It was not just me. He had been running a game on multiple women, using them for whatever he needed before moving to the next. Liana was not the first, and I was not the last, but I would be the end. I sent the PDF to a lawyer friend of mine who worked in fraud investigation. Within 48 hours, she looped in 2 more women, different states, same man. One of them was engaged to him. She had no idea. She called me sobbing, asking if I could meet her in person. I agreed. We met in a cafe in Orange County. She brought a folder, so did I. We sat across from each other like war veterans comparing scars. She showed me photos of Raphael on vacation with her family, promising to marry her after he finalized his divorce with a horrible woman in San Diego. That horrible woman was me. And just when I thought it could not get worse, she opened the last page in her folder. An invoice for a luxury apartment rental in Mexico, paid in full, under both their names. He was planning to disappear, and he had convinced her to wire $25,000 as the first payment for their future life together. I sat there stunned, unable to breathe. She was not just heartbroken, she was nearly bankrupt. I looked at her and said, "Do you want to take him down with me?" She wiped her tears, leaned across the table, and whispered, "Absolutely." We called it Operation Wake Up Call. The 3 of us, me, Liana, and Camille, the fiancé, formed an unlikely alliance. Women from different lives, brought together by one man's greed, arrogance, and calculated betrayal. We started collecting everything. Screenshots, receipts, bank transfers, emails, voice messages, texts. Every tiny detail he left behind. Camille had the biggest pile. She had lived with Raphael for over a year in Northern California. She had helped him open 2 credit cards and even added him as an authorized user on her own account. He maxed one out, disappeared with the other. Liana, the pregnant one, got a paternity test lined up the moment she heard he might have other children. Because yes, Camille told us something we did not expect. Raphael once mentioned he had a son in New Jersey. No names, no details, but something about the way he said it had stuck with her. She thought it was just another exaggeration. Now, we were not so sure. We filed a joint fraud case, identity theft, financial abuse, misrepresentation. My lawyer friend helped us draft the report, and we submitted it to the State Attorney General's office. But I wanted more than just a cold legal takedown. I wanted him to see our faces when everything collapsed. So I invited him to coffee. I sent a message from a burner number, told him it was Brooke, the woman he once tried to build a future with, claiming she wanted to reconnect. He took the bait instantly, said he was in a better place now and would love to talk. We chose a cafe in a quiet plaza. Liana sat in one corner, pretending to read. Camille sat outside near the windows. I sat at the table with an extra coffee across from me. When Raphael walked in, he looked exactly like the last time I saw him, desperate but trying to fake cool. He spotted me. His whole expression fell. I smiled and pointed to the chair. He sat slowly, confusion clouding his eyes. "You said this was Brooke," he muttered. "I lied," I said, "like you lied to all of us." He tried to stand. Camille stepped in. She blocked the exit. Liana came up behind him. 3 women, 1 man. No escape. I slid a folder across the table. "Inside," I said, "is everything. Bank theft, paternity questions, your fake resumes, the fake engagement, the money from Mexico, every lie, every scam, every broken promise. We sent it to the authorities. You should be receiving your summons in about now." Right on cue, his phone buzzed. His face turned to ash as he read the email from the Department of Justice. He looked up, panicked. "You do not understand. I was surviving. I was trying to—" "You were feeding off women who trusted you," Camille cut in. "You are not a survivor. You are a predator." He looked at Liana. "And the baby?" She stared at him for a long moment. "I will raise my child to never be like you." He slumped back, defeated. The cafe was quiet. I leaned forward one last time. "You tried to erase us, use us, replace us, but all you did was make us stronger. You taught us how to find each other. And now, we are going to make sure the world knows exactly who you are." I stood up. We all did. Raphael sat alone at the table, 3 coffees in front of him, a man surrounded by the wreckage he created, with no one left to save him. The last time I saw him, he was being escorted from his apartment 2 weeks later by US Marshals. Turns out his exit plan had been thorough, but not bulletproof. He left a digital trail in Brazil, bank accounts he never reported, tax fraud, enough for an international warrant. He is awaiting trial now. He will likely be deported. I never looked back, but I did look forward. Liana kept the baby. We all attended the baby shower together. Camille is rebuilding her life. She sold the engagement ring he gave her and used the money to start an online business, ironically, focused on helping women spot financial abuse early. As for me, I no longer see myself as someone who was used. I see myself as the woman who ended the cycle. The house I once thought felt empty now feels strong, grounded, real. And every time I pass that lemon tree in the backyard, I smile, because it still stands, still bears fruit. Just like me. If you found this story powerful and satisfying, make sure to subscribe for more real, emotional, and twist-filled stories that will keep you hooked till the very end. Your support means everything, and you won't want to miss what's coming next.